Well, we're seeing some of the best players in the world compete at Smite right now, and you can actually play against them too. Visit faceit.com, sign up. You're going to be able to play competitive matches against multiple modes. You can win exclusive chest rolls, skins, and gems. Again, faceit.com/en/smite. Check it out, sign up, and have fun. Maybe compete on this stage yourself one day. It might take a little bit, but you know, as you get better, you know, we always see those players really start to rise.
And I mean, we got some Challenger Cup players tomorrow. Those guys, you know, all started somewhere, just like everyone in the SPL did here, and that's a good place to try and hone your skills.
Well, into game 2 here. We talked about how if Denial 2-0'd here, basically setting themselves up for land, now enemy with that game lead. If they can take this game, they are, I believe, tied in points at 5, and that day 3 is going to be brutal.
And that'd be really tough for Denial because, like you mentioned, they had a chance to seal their fate basically for Super Regionals, and to let that slip away, and then all of a sudden you're tied with the team that you all you have to do is 2-0. It's really puts a damper on your overall team atmosphere.
I definitely feel like Denial's picks and bans were a little bit lacking in game 1, so I do expect to see some adjustments here. They are going to ban away that Terra enemy, taking out that Wukong and Nemesis. Once again, that same strategy, targeting out Homiefe.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to look for a first pick Athena here. I'm not too sure if Hurriwind's going to go for that Raijin. It didn't really seem to work out for him last game, and enemy were definitely prepared. I would say don't expect Odin to get through that third banning phase, so if they want to pick up the Odin, definitely get it in the first 3 picks.
Well, I think Giannis' first pick could have been in potential there as well after that last game. I think everybody's like, oh yeah, why haven't we been playing Giannis? But Denial, they're not going to let it happen. And they do get a comfortable God for Shadowq. I feel like this has been his best. On Thor, it's been his best performances.
Again, forcing Homie off those top 3 jungle gods.
That's the big one for me because he looked really, really good on Erlong yesterday with the Erlong jungle. I think those 2 have been the only 2 that Shadowq has looked very, very comfortable on, and he was the one who set up the big play underneath the tier 1 tower between him and the snipe coming out from Khaos. I like the decision to ban away the Giannis. Khaos has not looked particularly good on anything else but that character so far this weekend.
Do you think we could see a Raijin here for Hurriwind, give him something he's a little bit more comfortable with?
I'm not too sure whether he thinks Raijin is just a comfort pick or whether it's his favorite pick with the Nemesis, because Nemesis Raijin is a super deadly combo when you're trying to blow someone up.
Yeah, every time he's picked Raijin, it's been with the Nemesis, I think. So I think that it is more of a combination sort of thing. As I say that, he locks it in anyways, as per usual.
And there's the Bacchus obviously going to Shadowq, his best god, his most prominent, 10 out of 12 in the online stages. An immediate, real quick snap picks, Athena and Agni. A lot of this is a core we've used to see a lot more of, but just kind of that ranged poke potential.
Tons of range poke. I mean, probably the best 3v3 range poke you can get. Athena, as long as she doesn't have to get turned on and blown up whenever she dashes in for the taunt, sets up so much damage between the Thor and the Agni. Luckily for Denial, the first 2 characters they selected can be very safe. I mean, Raijin, best escape in the game. Bacchus, very tanky early on, as well as if Athena dash taunts his backline, he can flop in on characters like Agni and Thor and really make life difficult for them.
Benji going to lock in Amaterasu here. And also, I mean, talking about enemy, we saw it last game as well. Instead of the Athena, it was the Giannis, but that double global really splitting the map and making it hard for Denial to be coordinated in a single, attack and effort might be the same thing here, Yannick.
Yeah, it looks like the third bans are going to go away from those hunters, and it looks like they're perfectly fine with allowing PandaCat to have his pick from either a Soul, Jingwei, or Rama, and they're going to look to ban away the Soul laners.
Very surprised that we don't see at least I'm assuming we're going to see a Soul ban here just because of how effective PandaCat was in that last game on Soul, but I like the Vamana ban. I'm kind of surprised Denial didn't grab it themselves. I mean, Benji has looked so strong on Vamana. Amaterasu, obviously another god that Benji's very comfortable on, but with the success Vamana has seen so far this weekend, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go that direction.
And we're seeing enemy continue to target out Homiefe. This is, I mean, it's very, not too common that we see a single player targeted out so much. I think a lot of SPL players have expanded their god pools. Sure, we have the occasional 1 ban for Khaos, right? Take out that Giannis, we'll deal with everything else, but 3 bans already, 1 pick away, and potentially a 4th ban here as well.
Yeah,
I mean, is this just Denial's?
Super uncomfortable on the Circuit last game. He missed a lot of taunts, especially on Marauder over in the Soul lane, and I think continuing to ban out his god pool is a very, very good strategy from enemy.
I like this as well. Looking at the junglers left on the table, Fenrir could be okay here, has a pretty decent matchup up against Agni, would synergize with the early aggression that Raijin likes to have, but I mean, you probably don't want to go back to this Raquette. Like Yannick said, did not look pretty comfortable.
I mean, is this enemy, exposing Denial's weakness, or kind of the, we talked about carry players, how, it's always good to have that one player in your team that's always going to show up. But teams like Energy and like Soar yourself, you guys have those multiple players. Denial, I mean, outside of Homiefe, who's that guy?
Sometimes Hurriwind.
That's the thing. Sometimes.
Sometimes Hurriwind, sometimes Benji.
I think it's just a bunch of sometimes players almost. I don't want to like be trash talking, but it's not like you have that one player who's always going to be popping off on that team. I
think all of them are pretty safe, and it's really Homiefe that's kind of that linchpin that keeps everything together. Now he's going to have to go real deep into his god pool. There's the Bastet. We did see it banned away from Shattered on day one. Teams, and I think it was against Denial as well, really worried about that split push.
But he'd already locked into Thor. That was just kind of trolling.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I think they were just kind of trolling. Sun Wukong and Soul. It is going to be PandaCat on that Soul. Oh, of course. How did I forget about Ratatoskr, man? Thinking of the junglers left open, Ratatoskr, very, very prevalent during Group B. Not so much here for the other NA squads, but still definitely a top-tier jungler.
This is interesting because I haven't seen Homie play Ratatoskr too much, and I know early on in the season, Ratatoskr was one of his least favorite gods, and he didn't really... It's surprising to see him go to the Ratatoskr.
I feel like he was definitely forced into this one, but he has the globals to match. Final thoughts with these comps locked in, Ionic?
I'm going to go with Enemy. They're hot this time, and I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made in game one.
Yeah, I like Enemy's composition. Comfort picks all around.
I got to go with Enemy as well. 3-0 here on the desk. We're expecting Enemy to find the 2-0, force that tie against Denial, but we have the casters to bring you the game. Graham and Anatoly standing by.
And when you talk about that, you heard what Agro said there. Comfort picks, Toly.
Yes.
Everyone's got a comfort pick apart from probably Homie.
And unfortunately, they kind of leaked another comfort pick that they had by hovering over that Bastet for a while. Shattered has been known to play it, so even though that was a little bit of a spicy pick, I got the goosebumps from there.
You got excited, now I'm like, it's going solo.
Yeah,
why is it going solo?
I didn't see the Thor. Yeah, I didn't notice the Thor there, but either way, Shattered has been known for the Bastet, and I like the 3v3 in the small skirmishes between this Thor, Athena, Agni. You're going to be against the Raijin, Bacchus, and the Ratatoskr. I gotta give the edge to Enemy here.
But it's the double flop, though. You've got the Bacchus and you've got the Rat that can both flop onto you and cause you to be knocked up. Could cause them some problems.
That's true. Ratatoskr, though, he does have a little bit of a tricky spots to initiate without his ultimate. Trying to overextend is not something you really want to do. You don't want to utilize that dash yourself just to find the stun. But Denial, sticking to their roots, always grouping up as 5 no matter where they go.
An Enemy this time around, I'm going to play a bit more passive than last time. Obviously, with the composition they've not got the greatest of level 1s overall. Only really looking at Jingu Bang and probably Stellar Burst, if anything, that you're going to want to have to take at level 1.
Looking at the relic choices, we do see an open slot for Pain as the wards do come out. He wants to be able to see what Shadowq has invested it in and then go for the counter, because assuming that Shadowq goes for the curse, then you get instantly the sprint just to counteract that engagement.
Basically, it's rock, paper, scissors, right? So if you say that, I agree with the rock, paper, scissors mentality, but what exactly do you get against a shell? Do you get just match it?
Well, it looks like you just match a shell with another shell for Pain. That's his mentality behind it, which is not a bad idea, because Pain, if he commits with the dash taunt, he's going to receive a brunt end of that damage. Same story goes for Shadowq once he commits with that flop.
Yeah, a lot of bursts on both teams here as well at the start. No invades coming out once again. Still not seen an invade this weekend so far, Toly. Surprised by that at all?
Oh, just a little bit. I think that there's a lot of strong 2v2s that we've seen so far. Thor, Sun Wukong is pretty decent, especially against Rat and Amaterasu. It's not something that they really want to fight into, especially with Homiefe having a small health pool.
And the fact that they actually left Homiefe's pick until after the counterban phase tells me that getting Benji on something more comfortable seems to have been the calling card for Denial here. They drafted the Amaterasu early, expecting it to be banned away again. And actually, they were happy to have Marauder take that Sun Wukong there. They left it up after the bans.
There was just a lot of bans targeted towards Homiefe, trying to get him out of his zone. There was the Aokwang Nemesis, Hunbat's Naja, leaving him into the Ratatoskr that everybody conveniently forgot. So we'll see what he can actually bring to the table.
This is a dream start for Denial. They get the right and Harpies and the Elementals for free. They're still going to get some pressure in the mid lane here as Purification forced on Khaos. Yeah, the advantage of the wave clear goes in the way of Enemy there, but getting the Purification early, that works out great.
And if they decide to go on the left side mid Harpies, Khaos now has to be so careful positioning himself. He gets caught out with another stun. If that dash is down, that could be easy first blood for Denial. On the left-hand side dual lane, though, a lot of pressure from Enemy as they push to the tower line.
Good use of Tom there by PainDeViande just to cancel out the belch a little bit as well, but it's not going to slow down the wave clear too much of Denial there for the time being. And PandaCat doing great work with those Stellar Bursts, just weaving them through those minions.
And forcing a lot of potions onto Shadowq. Only 1 health, 1 mana pod remaining. PainDeViande still with 2 of each. Benji, though, he is getting poked out in the early phases, and this is something to be expected out of, honestly, any matchup if you're Amaterasu.
I mean, every single time I've seen Benji in this lane, he's been below 50% in the early game. Every single matchup, whatever it's been. Always below 50%, whether he's baiting a little bit more than than usual. I'm not so sure.
And because of the way Marauder's been playing it, just losing that 1 melee minion and 3 archers, that sacrifices around 75 gold, maybe 80 gold or so. So already a slight lead for Marauder.
Well, mid lane, the farm off just continues there for the time being between the two. Both about to hit level 5. You can see the junglers have hit there as well as Khaos, but Hurriwind just a little bit behind. Gets it though with those back harpies.
And not because he got the fire giant elementals and the mid harpies, that means Benji hits level 5 first. Shining Metal though has been charged. Not enough mana also to follow up with the silence.
And that's advantage to Marauder now in this lane as well. If you check out the potions, they are ticking away on Marauder in the bottom left-hand corner. You can just see it on that left-hand edge there. Bomb in the middle lane though, not going to hit home with the stun because Hurriwind will Thunder Crash away and get those immunity frames online.
Nice timing for the disengage for Hurriwind. He'll be able to walk to the right-hand side. Ratatoskr was thinking about maybe ganking, but the fire giant elementals is what he's really after. That's so much gold. But immediately after going into the sky, he wants to take advantage of Marauder.
But immediately Marauder recognized the situation and ults perfectly timed, and that's what Benji was really after. Obviously, we didn't have Marauder have his ultimate at level. He was still level 4 when he got for that gank, but if he could have burned that beforehand, that could have been a different story there for that Sun Wukong.
But Homiefe is still around the corner. Benji trying to bait him out a little bit just to get out of position without that ultimate, without much mana. If Marauder commits to one cudgel here, he won't have enough mana to Oxform away.
The best solo lanes are just so experienced though at knowing when ganks are coming. It's very hard to pick them off at this stage of the game. They're so experienced with seeing so many campers coming over the whole time and pitching tents.
And the thing is, like, he's timing the gank with the speed buff respawn, right? He sacrificed about 5 to 10 second window just to be able to try to get this gank. And as a result, Shattered did pick up the speed buff first, so he could have a little bit of a power play in the future once the second buff respawns.
Well, didn't see where Shattered used that ultimate, but it is on cooldown right now for the Thor at the moment, and he's going to go and get the blue buff for his Marauder on the Sun Wukong as well. So both solo lanes just continuing as we left off. Gold is relatively even between the two.
Shattered now hitting level 7, going to walk into Benji, and Homiefe is going to start walking around the corner, whereas the red buffs now being taken on the left-hand side from both teams, and we're going to have to see more plays out of these junglers, both of them having this global pressure, but they really need to execute.
Good wall. Double tap not really as good as you wanted it to be there, but it did cancel out the silence and force the ultimate out of Benji.
It's so funny back and forth ulti trading between these two. Benji trying to use a power play at level 5, didn't really quite find it, but then Homiefe forcing out Marauder's ultimate, now Shattered forcing out Benji's ultimate. So these soul laners, a lot of attention on the right-hand side.
We'll see if Homie ends up going back there now to force Marauders, which will come up again sooner than Benji's now. Double tap again from Shattered. Didn't find home a second time there, just a single for the time being, but he is trying to get some farm in mid lane still by just holding against the wall.
And that's unfortunate because Shattered is leveling that hammer, so had he connected the second tap, Homiefe would be at around 60% health or so, and that would not allow him to even be in position to contest these fire giant elementals. 90 gold going his way.
I swear, we've got Homiefe's camera zoomed out on purpose just to make him even look smaller.
No, he's literally that small.
Is he really that small? He's basically Ratatoskr.
Have you seen him next to F-Dot?
Yes, I have. It's like dad and son put together. Once again, reunited. Anyway, still, for the time being, no harpies down. It's obviously Nala trying to bait something out here. But there's still an ward, and that ward placement, very, very good. We've seen a little bit more of that so far this tournament, totally.
Normally, sentry wards are positioned right on the bottom or right on the top of those mid-harpies. So to have a regular ward right in between it, you're not going to be able to really counter it unless you put a sentry ward in the middle. So it's more of a mind games. Unless you see that ward being placed, there's no reason to sentry ward in the middle.
And those sentry wards that you talk about there, where they get placed down, it's at the crossroads more than not. You want to get as maximum potential out of those wards every single time. For no, it's multiple pathways through the jungle.
You want to try to make the most optimal path of rotation to find the gank, and that one sentry ward will definitely spot it out. And Denial, they still don't really know where they want to go. Both of these teams still playing really careful right now, heading into the 6-minute mark.
But we said how comfortable everybody really is on these gods. The only one that's not probably comfortable is Homiefe in this game. Everybody else is. And when you're in a comfort god, you make less mistakes because you know the positions you can get yourself into and get out of.
It just seems that both of these teams would rather take their picks into team fights more than the laning phase contention, except for the soul lane, obviously. We saw a lot of action out of there. Denial, though, just going to try to pull the goal here, maybe bait enemy out here, but the Thor ultimate did go on cooldown.
I think they noticed that ultimate coming out from Shattered there. That's why they backed off Denial, and they'll take the free win off that one because that ultimate being down allows pressure for Homiefe.
That's so unfortunate because Homiefe's speed buff was delayed. We saw the invade potential from Shattered, didn't really quite find it.
No, wasn't able to find it. The speed buff has respawned on the right-hand side for both junglers now. Expect to see them rotate round for them soon because they don't want to give that away to their opposition right now.
No, not quite yet. Shattered, though, he's going to be able to pick up these Fire Giant Elementals being shared with Khaos. Speed buff still available for him to take 4 members members on the right, getting his own speed buff, whereas we see a little bit of pressure being applied to the boars on enemy.
And that's the reason we can see PainDeViande do that. Because he's got the global ultimate on Athena, he can be on the opposite side of where the action's going on, use that global rotation if required for the time being. Everybody on comfortable gods, as we said. The red buff now being looked at by enemy.
And now PandaCat, he was thinking about sticking onto it, but with the rotation from Shadowq and Hurriwind, there's a lot of damage between the belly flop, Intoxicate. Hurriwind can easily follow up as well, but on the right-hand side, we see Marauder being contested by Benji on the blue buff.
Yeah, trying to cause some problems for him is on the left. Harpy's being looked at by both, but Stellar Burst being down probably means it'll go the way of Denial. Right side, though, the blue buff went the way of Marauder, but he's getting hurt for it and will be forced to ult.
He had to get the sustain back up, though. The teleport is not available for Marauder, so he has to be so careful because Benji's ultimate is available.
Let's have a listen into Denial's comms as they look at this Gold Fury.
Wukong might have TP. I don't remember. If Wukong TP's here.
They're gonna go home. Expect Thor ult.
That's their shell.
Did Thor ult? Where's Thor?
No, his ult's down.
You're ready to defend gold. Back,
Okay.
back,
Yeah.
back right now if you have to back.
I want to get this red first.
I'll stay.
That was my shell.
Can actually back.
He's
Back,
like
back,
super
back.
tanky with Vanguard, I guess.
Someone went left, top jungle.
Getting a sentry for gold. Thor's
I need to
pushing
back this one. Just make sure they're not too gold.
Yeah, retweet.
This is like fine. Our team fight's insane. We
I
just
don't have
don't-
ult
Oh,
for
heck
55.
yeah, bro.
Yeah, our team fight's like way better, so this is fine.
So it's very, very calm on the Denial comms overall here, Tolly, as well. It's not a very exciting comms, it's just clean. They know what's going on. We were even picking Athena off there. No one was really talking about it. They were just doing their business.
Like you heard, they're very confident in their team fight. It's insane, they even say. And we saw actually Homiefe unfortunately miss that ultimate again onto Pain, just allowing him to escape and charge up the dash. It takes a while, but now Pain is going to get a nice double taunt, forcing the purification. You always have to be out of range of those Agni bomb stuns.
And on top of that, they were talking about Shattered's ult being down. Well, it's definitely back up right now as well. They have to respect both. Both teams have burst potential at the Gold Fury as well. No team really has a huge advantage over the other.
No, not quite yet. Hurriwind is relying more on the artillery with his ultimate, whereas Khaos's ultimate comes back up every 20 seconds without the CDR.
And that's real artillery as well when we call it the artillery for Raijin. It's definitely the way for Agni.
Yes, exactly the same exact style. Both Hurriwind needs to be careful with his positioning. If he's too close to Khaos, especially during his own ultimate, he's going to be very immobile, and it's going to be an easy target to hit those bombs onto Hurriwind.
Left-hand side, you can see enemy just farming up PandaCat at the moment as Vetium does return to lane, working on Devour's Gauntlet again on the Rama. It's been his choice overall here to look for this sort of Devour's Gauntlets build, other than when we saw him a little bit earlier on.
You want to try to position yourself in the best way possible in the mid-game, but now Shadowq eating the Tectonic Rift, but no bomb stun, not quite there in time. I like the idea going for the Reinforced Greaves, getting that crowd control reduction, especially with Thor wall at level 1, is not that long of a stun to basically follow up with Agni.
And not only that, but the Agni dot damage as well will tick up the passive of those boots, which allows you to make them a little bit more impactful in the fights as well. Not often looked at the Agni passive, but it can come into play a lot of times.
It wouldn't even be a bad idea for Shadowq to maybe get a second level of his Tectonic Rift just to confirm the double tap, confirm the bomb stun of Khaos, and even second or third one. See, it is level 1 still.
Well, Benji did do a better proxy farming down the right-hand side, and will keep Marauder pinned back into his tier 1 tower, but that gives an opportunity for Benji to look at the blue buff. Mid lane, there's action going on a little bit here, so looks like Benji's going to get a free blue on the right-hand side.
2 levels ahead of Marauder. Marauder was doing a good job in the early laning phase where he was able to bully Benji constantly under the tower, even forcing some minions under the tower where he lost a lot of gold, but now it's Benji stealing the blue, proxy waving in between tier 1 and tier 2. Teleport is available for this gold.
Well, this Gold Fury has been started up, approaching half health right now, and in comes Vetium leading the charge for now. And with Shadowq showing his presence too, enemy will back away.
Both teams, they wanted to try to get something rolling here, but Benji used that teleport. He's going to be able to poke out PainDeViande just a little bit, but even if Pain backs here, he has his ultimate. But now Khaos on the right-hand side, he gets spotted.
And he's forced out to dash away, but in goes Shadowq as well. Khaos is going to get stunned. The snipes are great, as well as everybody just collapsed with ultimates onto Khaos's face. Meanwhile, on the backside, Marauder did have to use the cloud there as his 3 members are running for their lives in their own jungle right now. PainDeViande stunned out with Homiefe combining with a great CC CC chain. He'll pick up another kill.
2 members dead on the side of enemy, and now that's going to give Denial a free opportunity for Gold Fury. Just Khaos wanting to really stop that Gold Fury, having to position himself to get those bombs online, but he gets spotted out, walking over, instantly collapsed on Denial. They're going to continue the Gold Fury, but Marauder is here. He doesn't have his dash or his ultimate, and Benji's going to stick on him.
Got to be careful here. He's got PandaCat in support as well, however, so Benji's just trying to buy time, if anything, for the Gold Fury to go down. Marauder did good work there. Got to give him credit because he focused onto Homiefe to make Denial pay attention to him instead to save their teammate.
That's what you really want to do. Be a little bit of a distraction. And with Benji going one way, Homiefe going the other, the rest of the members from Denial got the Gold Fury low enough, and now getting themselves about a 3,000 gold lead, 3,000 experience. But this is the same position that Denial were at in the earlier stages, the last game, where they were trying to get ahead, but it couldn't really matter against enemies late game comp.
They were, but this time around, they're not dealing with the Yarners so much, are they? Those space and times were really making an impact for them. They have the global rotation themselves as well this time, Denial, with the Ratatoskr being available to them, and semi-global from Rama as well. Take that into account. Those snipes do pay dividends.
And they do have the mobility with Benji playing the Amaterasu. He has maxed out the aura, should be able to position his teammates aggressively or just to be able to disengage.
Just want to note at home as well, you banned out Homiefe, did an enemy this game. Well, he's got 2 kills so far, even though they banned how many things? 5 things until if you add the Thor to it as well.
Absolutely, just being able to target away Homiefe, and now we kind of see how his style is on this Ratatoskr, going for the Void Shield and then into the Yodas, trying to get those cooldown reductions, but now it's Shattered looking for a play potentially in the mid lane. We haven't really seen Pain, Khaos, and Shattered group up in the jungle, exploiting their chain CC possibilities.
And here's the problem for enemy now. They lose the Gold Fury, but they didn't get a single thing back in response. You always want to take a tower, you always want to try and find some picks or even some buff invades, but Denial are not really letting that happen.
No, not at all. Enemy were just a little bit too low, especially losing 2 members right off the bat, and that just allowed Denial a free Gold Fury at the 12-minute mark. So we'll see how they can do around the second Gold Fury, because I expect Denial to still play aggressive around the 17-minute mark once that gold respawns.
And Benji's having a very good game for himself here. Level 16, still got that 2-level lead over Marauder here as well. Invading the blue buff on his own time and time again, able to proxy farm. They're not really responding to him, enemy either. They're kind of just letting him get away with things. I say that, but here's Shattered to try and stop him doing the blue.
And he does have the Genji's Guard to be able to have the MP5 and an additional 10% cooldown reduction. You're going to be able to spam away those auras, constantly getting more health regen, and that's going to allow him to keep being a bully. This is the point in time when Amaterasu gets the biggest power spike of the game.
And it just seems like enemy just giving things up there. You saw Shattered try and contest, but the rotation from Denial was on point there to respond immediately and send 4 members over just to take away the blue.
I want to see some plays between Pain and Shattered. You can even use those double ultimate combos to find the surprise gank. We saw actually Shattered's ultimate last game under the tier 1 mid tower when Denial was just a little bit overextended. Maybe that's something that enemy is relying on. Once Denial overstepped the counter ultimate.
Oh, Shattered's going to get a pick onto Vetium there. Nicely done. He didn't get to the sky in time. Generally very safe, but Shattered did find a weakness in Denial's defenses, and it was the Hunter.
I thought he was going to be able to get into the sky for a split second there, but Thor just does too much damage. Not even the most offensive build, going for the Wing Blade, it seems.
And now because PainDeViande's over here as well, doing a good job of zoning in the jungle, stopping the boys of Denial rotating to the tier 1 tower on the left, that you can see enemy are trying to siege down and put some pressure onto.
And this is what Benji likes to do, proxying between the tier 2 and the Phoenix. Teleport is online. The red buff has been taken away here from enemy, but they're still aggressing around the tier 1 left-hand side.
But now teleport comes in from Benji, so he's going to release the pressure a little bit. Marauder over here as well, but Oxform now down. Benji going to collapse a little bit more, but he's just buying time for his team to get back in position. Vetium falling down there allowed enemy to get a little bit of pressure, but I think it was answered very, very well by Denial, especially when you look at the right-hand side and how many minions poor old Marauder's lost to that tower.
A nice little wall also coming out of Shattered, and looking at the team composition from Denial, 3 of their members do have dashes between Benji playing Ama, Homie playing Rat, and Vetium playing Ram, so I like, as long as Shattered can always be patient enough with that wall, he can really cut the disengage from Denial or prevent the initiation initially.
Another 2-level lead in favor of Benji is still there, as well as Marauder limps back to lane, about to hit level 16. But if we tune in with Benji here, we'll just see his experience in the bottom left as well and see how he's doing for himself, because I'm pretty sure he's catching up as well. Yeah, look at that.
Marauder has no mana here, and he's going to get ganked right away, taking advantage of Athena ultimate, trying to save his life, but the meditate keeps him topped off for a little bit longer, clearing the wave now, but Benji's not done yet. He's going to dive, but a beautiful taunt, keeping Marauder alive.
And the cloud is up. However, in the sky is Shattered right now, maybe looking to reinitiate on on the Thor if he can find an opportunity. Instead, it's on mid lane, but Vetium not going to get hit this time round. He'll slip away towards the rest of his team. This does expose, however, PandaCat in the left.
It was all a distraction to allow the tier 1 siege. PandaCat is going to be able to get this tower cleanly. He could keep going for the tier 2 because the teleport is still down from Benji for 90 seconds. And Soul is a tower melter. Instead, electing to back off. Gold Fury is respawning, so that's going to be a high point of contention for both teams.
So approaching 17 minutes, and now tier 1 down in right-hand side, tier 1 down in left-hand side, so evenly traded on the towers so far. That first Gold Fury going the way of Denial still keeps them in a decent position. It was 3,000 gold, 3,000 experience before. It's still the same sort of thing.
And this is the point in time where Denial, they need to find ways to extend it, because if you flatline this goal lead and experience lead for in the next 5 minutes, it's almost meaningless, honestly, at this point in time. It'll still come down to the positioning and which team is able to find somebody out of position here. Enemy is looking at it with the Athena dash on, maybe even a Thor wall, whereas Denial, they're relying mostly on Shadowq with the belly flop.
Well, Book of Thoth, it seems to be coming online for at least Khaos now. He's stacking that one up. It could be the same to be said for Hurriwind here as well, although Soul Reaver is always an option.
It is a good idea to maybe get Soul Reaver here because you're out of the laning phase. To be able to build all those stacks is going to take you forever. We see already the Agni on Khaos. Only 6 stacks on the Book of Thoth. It'll take him a while to finish it.
It will, but at the same time, I mean, the stacks don't give you that much more, do they really, Tony? They give you some, but at the same time, you want it because it's a good item on its own anyway. And as you level, you get more mana, which gives you more power.
The mana is a good idea, is a good bonus that you get just to be able to spam more abilities, not necessarily the power that you get from the mana. So that's going to allow Khaos just to get a little bit of more of a power spike than Hurriwind, but the Bancroft's talent is going to also do a lot for him.
Well, here we go again, round 2 at the Gold Fury. This time round, let's have a listen into Enemy as they look to defend this Gold Fury.
Coming.
Poking around, Ramen here.
Give me fuck. Yeah.
Yo, they used all their jumps.
I'm on Ryan. For me.
Probably good. This is a good fight.
I'm what? Down to them?
Oh, they're so low.
So spread?
Just reset if you can.
Give me fuck.
Yeah, we're ready.
They're all low.
Nice one.
Ready.
Take off. Version on the side. Careful.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. They can't do it. They're like super low. They might.
I need to reset. They med. Poke. We got it.
Do we have med?
Yeah.
Just reset.
Talk.
You just dashed in.
They're slow.
Right. You get anything? I gotta get out now. That's all I got for you. Rushing out.
I didn't know they were all in the pit. Whatever. I am TP actually, Panda, if you want to stay.
I mean, we heard enemies comms there, Tony, and they were all excited about this. You know, overall, they were like, hey, you know, they're in a great position. They're all low. Meditate.
Meditate turns the tides of the table.
We got baited. That's basically it.
It was a bait into a counter bait, which is a little bit stronger, but now Denial Hurriwind out of position. What are you doing over there?
Well, he went for the kill on Pain, and now on the backside of the Shad's managed to get back with a teleport coming through, I guess. And he picks up one. The Gold Fury's still alive, but the Gold Fury's going to go the way of Denial overall. And a very scrappy. These two teams always scrap so weirdly against each other, man.
But you can't find the split here. If you're enemy, you need to find the second win here just to be able to get closer to Denial. But Denial are very comfortable, I would say, or more comfortable to get the split than enemy. Still separating the gap away from enemy. Enemy with 3, Denial still with 5 points.
A little bit of poke on Benji, but look how tanky he is. He's not really that worried. He's got to worry about the mage damage, though, from those two. Reinitiating, especially when one man is in the sky.
The Rom trying to find the snipes, misses the first and the third. I think that if Benji committed with his ultimate, it would get him low enough, or get PandaCat low enough for maybe Vetium to find the kill.
Especially with those relics being down as well. There's a small opportunity for both teams. And talking about relics, pretty much every single one in the game is currently down, other than that of Vetium, who died a little bit earlier on in that fight.
Just trying to find the right positioning is enemy to be able to get back into this game. They were down 3,000 gold for quite a while, but with that Gold Fury taken about a minute ago, now down about 5,000, and this could be a slippery slope for them if they don't find the initiations. Pain has just been a non-factor, I would say, on this Athena that they picked very early in the draft.
And you're right, he's going slow, long steps at the moment in favor of Denial, but it can start to divulge into slope completely if this carries on the way it's going so far. It feels like enemy, like, they lost a man in the engagement that we listened to at the Gold Fury. They still felt they could go in again, and when they did, they died.
But the thing is, enemy has been known always for their late game potential. They're always cool, calm, and collected when they need to be. They know what's on the line, and as long as they can get to the mid to late game form, they could start popping off here. So now they're just, as long as they could stay grouped up, they shouldn't have too much difficulty.
I'm looking at PainDeViande here, looking for the taunts in mid lane. If you can find one or two, they have an opportunity. We talked about relics here. Obviously, a couple of them have come back up now. Purification of Homie, but left-hand side, man's in trouble.
This is going to be the wombo combo we were talking about, but the Sanctuary and the roll away from Vetium. But now, a lot of damage being done onto Homie, even him trying to be ulted away by PandaCat. You're going to be able to chase down Shadowq.
And Shadowq flops into a dangerous spot here. There's no tower for him. The wall going to miss. Shadowq's jukes there did come in handy, but now there's a rotation, and Shadow's in trouble too. Raijin hits. Benji's here, and the boys of the enemy looking to turn tail.
I'm surprised there was no ulti from Benji committing onto the Thor. He didn't have his ultimate. The hammer
Scrappy
was
again,
still on cooldown, but now it's just a back and forth exchange. Neither team really having sustained built into their kits. They do have meditations available to be used, but it's just going to be a reset.
But it's scrappy for no reason, Tolly. I mean, everyone started rotating to that lane. Shattered went for a gank at a 2v1, and then we saw Athena ult over. The next minute, everybody rotates from Denial. They could have just gone for a tier 1 tower mid.
Absolutely, I feel like they missed out on that one small early game objective, but now Marauder being poked out here, enemy, or Denial rather, they're going to push down, utilizing...
A little bit risky from Benji there. He's going to take a lot of poke, but he does commit them in enough to get the tier 1 tower for his team and trade ult for ult with Marauder.
So tanky is Benji right now, even utilizing the aura just to get the sustain off, still holding on to the meditation. A lot of defense now finishing off the Spirit's Robe, as well as the Winged Blade getting that additional movement speed. It's very difficult to really lock him down.
On this Amaterasu as well, we saw how important it was for Denial to get that to Benji this game. They drafted it before the counterban phase, which isn't something you normally do, especially when you're second picking up the counter pick option in the solo lane.
We saw it in the last game. Enemy actually banned away the Vamana and the Amaterasu in the secondary ban phase, so switching things up. Great pickup from Denial. They're utilizing their strengths. The late game Rama and the late game Rama.
And not a lot of kills this game as well so far. I mean, we saw last time round it was like 6 kills in overall in the game. We were like 7 minutes in. This time round though, 7 kills in 23 minutes. They are all on comfort gods, and when you see that, I expect it to kind of be this way. Homie dashes in.
Nice stun though. Off. Nice wall coming out of Shattered, being able to stop the initial front from Denial, but they're not done yet. They're going to continue onto the speed buff.
Yeah, and they will actually look to invade the speed, not find it. However, Shattered picks it up for himself and now takes this guy. Shadowq did just use his flop, and they could look for the Guardian, but by doing that, could put him in an awkward spot. Thunder Crash straight into a wall, forces Purification there as well.
The taunt onto Shadowq, a lot of damage continued from PandaCat, going to be able to walk away. Shattered is in trouble, gets picked off by Benji.
Homiefe takes to the sky, and one man down as well. Gives him an advantage still on this side. The Hunter's now making a rotation too. Homie chooses Pain, and Pain dips out with the ultimate. Meanwhile, however, they've left Marauder dealing with Hurriwind, but now he's surrounded, and Marauder wants the Fire Giant to help him, but he's not on your side.
How is he getting away?
No way.
Vetium says no possible way. Hits the snipe. 2 members dead from enemy and Denial. Late game 4, 24.5 minutes in. They're feeling confident enough to start the Fire Jump, but you have to respect the bombs coming out of Khaos. But he actually has no bombs.
Again, and aggression one more time. This time it's on to Pain. No ult to get out this time. Sunshine. Another member of enemy fall down, and Denial are looking at the fire again.
It's going to be very quick for them to be able to do with a late game Rama, but there is a small window where Shatter could potentially teleport into this as long as the rest of enemy could stall it out for a little bit longer.
And they're doing a good job of stalling here, enemy, keeping them busy enough that they don't want to fully commit to this. It's 2 heavy damage dealers that they're trying to zone out, but they've held aggro long enough. The Fire Giant should fall the way of Denial, and it will fall the way of Denial.
And Shattered, though, he's taken up to the sky. He's going to need to land onto Benji, but barely able just to get the tip. The bomb stun doesn't matter, gets negated by Benji's ultimate. Now, 5 members with Fire Giant on the side of Denial. They have so much pressure now, being able to knock down every single remaining tower.
So, sorry, where's the biggest issue been this game that Denial have now developed this lead so far? Is it all about the goal, just objective control?
I just didn't see any plays from the 3v3 core from enemy. They have this old school Thor, Agni, Athena combination. You know, you're relying on either Thor or Athena to set up the Agni, and it was just non-existent. The damage is just not there from Khaos. And getting to the late game from at this point in time, it's just not happening for him.
And we said him looking for the Gold Fury. They're not going to find it in time. They're now well aware they're going to go for their 3rd Gold Fury of the game now as well, which I don't think is really going to be hotly contested here. Only Pain really hanging around at the same time. And you mentioned Khaos there. I mean, Third from bottom on the damage charts is probably not the best place you want your mage to be at this stage.
No, definitely not. You want to be able to consistently hit those bomb stuns, but Denial, though, to their credit, they've been able to disengage from those bomb stuns very well. Like we mentioned before, Shattered only having that 1 point in the Tectonic Rift didn't really allow for much follow-up. Every time they caught Shadowq, he was able to belly flop before all the damage came out.
Well, Benji wraps around the back to force enemy back to their tier 2 tower. The tier 1 taken away. Shattered is split pushing here, and that's why you see Denial committing a little bit harder.
It's not a bad idea when you're this far behind. You need to get some gold back onto your team, but you might be giving up a little bit too much. Your tier 2 will get absolutely melted. Denial, they don't care about this tier 1 tower. It's not even halfway done, and they're going to go down the Phoenix.
And Shad has to give up going for the tier 1 on the right-hand side. Now Benji still tanking up a storm on the front side. So tanky. Homie in the sky as well, looking for the sun on Marauder, not going to find it. And Homie misses the ult as well. Back in, though, goes the boys of enemy for a second until Shadowq gets a good knock-up and a good intoxicate.
A nice meditation to keep him topped off, but the rest of Denial, they're respecting the late-game damage from Khaos. A nice stun onto Benji. Now a nice triple taunt, though, from Pain, but not enough follow-up.
But Benji's still alive, and Homiefe still in amongst it as a flop from Shadowq again. Poke, poke, poke. Remember, the Fire Giant is still sustaining these boys of Denial.
Shattered, though, he is very low. He didn't use the Fountain Health sustain quite yet. Nice little Sanctuary from Vetium being forced by Khaos. Left side Phoenix still being pressured, though, but Vetium constantly having to roll away.
And Benji just trying to keep them busy. Him and Shadowq doing a good job of juking out the aggro of that Phoenix as well. They don't get what they came for, though, Denial. They have to limp away with just a Gold Fury tier 1 and tier 2 overall.
That has established themselves about a 10,500 goalie, which is very respectable, I would say, at almost a 28-minute mark. And now they could get that a little bit further down the road to 12,000 if they get this last tier 2 tower on the right-hand side. Or actually, there's another mid one.
Well, they've also got about a minute left on the Fire Giant too, so yeah, one of these tier 2s definitely viable for them to look at. But Relics come into play as well, and I think both teams will be very scared of making a mistake, because obviously when you've got Athena against you in these taunts, and you've not got Purification up, your carries have to be so careful.
I think it was too ambitious to try to go for the Phoenix, but now going into the mid, Phoenix forcing out the dash from Khaos, still committing just to get him low enough. Khaos has to now make a decision. Does he go get healthy off the Fountain, or does he try to defend the tier 2?
Benji did so much work on the backside there, but his team's still unable to get this tier 2 tower down just yet. Now enemy are back here to defend one more time. The Fire Giant is trickling on at the same time as Shadowq is forced out as well.
But now a lot of drums coming from Hurriwind. The taunts were so good. The snipes are good onto PainDeViande. Khaos getting hit by the second and third as well. Homiefe making the dash. He finds it, but has to disengage. Shattered trying to find the cleanup kill, but everybody's going to commit onto the store.
And Shattered is in a lot of trouble there. There's the intoxicate. Shattered will fall down here as well. Homiefe gets the double kill, but for me, it was definitely Hurriwind's Drums of War and the snipes from Vetium that won them that fight and will get him a Phoenix.
Beautiful setup from Hurriwind, and I think they're going to go for the end here. They have a 5-on-2. PainDeViande's respawning in 10 seconds. This could be game, and Denial, they're going to be able to split this set, ending it with 6 points, enemy at 3.
And a good situation for Denial there, especially after losing their first game. They had to come back and find the 1-1 there. Make sure enemy's day is still in a very rough spot overall.
Absolutely. These teams are still relatively close. We're going into our last set of the day. There's still 4 more games tomorrow, so there's still a lot of potential for points for everybody involved.
And when you think about what the last game is, the last set of the day is going to be Envy up against Thor as well. The way Thor looked yesterday, you kind of expect it to go that Thor's going to take 3 points there unless something crazy happens with Envy again, which means that you're fighting for second place now.
Pretty much that's what it seems. When we first started this weekend, I honestly thought that every team was at equal footing. If you made a poll between these 4 teams, who's going to win, I was thinking like 25% across the board. But immediately after the first day, Thor was just so dominant. Denial have been looking very strong, but there's signs of life coming out of enemy.
The funny thing about that, we mentioned comfort picks in that set overall. The only person not on one probably is Homiefe, but the team with the least comfort picks won.
He made it work, though. The Ratatoskr certainly made it work. He had 5 gods being denied from him. 4 banned, 1 picked away. And this is something that it seems that they really recognize the strat coming out of Denial, that they lean a little bit too much, almost to a fault, onto Homiefe. Initially, his ultis weren't quite on point, but in the late game, it didn't matter, though, because everybody else was doing their job.
Well, there's both teams congratulating each other on a very very interesting set once more. Another split between these two teams. It's not a surprise, totally. They do this a lot, those two.
Absolutely, and they're so equal in skill. It's all about the one little mistake in the late game that can really change the pace of the game.
And those pace changes really do influence how it goes down. 1-1 is the call. The analysts are ready to break down game 2.
So, Enemy there could have made it really interesting, tying up Denial, also having, you know, that direct 2-2 head-to-head, so it would have come down to some pretty spicy day 3, but Denial managed to pull together and close out their final game.
A very, very key game for Denial to win there, like you mentioned. It would have made for a difficult game, or day 3 for them. Homiefe stepping up, like the casters mentioned. I mean, when you get 5 gods taking away from you, really reaching deep into that god pool, pulls out the Ratatoskr, looks comfortable. Hurriwind looked good on the Raijin yet again. And Vetium, I mean, he's been the one that stepped up, really. Him and Benji both have had really, really solid lands thus far. Both of them, you know, obviously did really well at Super Regionals last year, kind of were part of the squad that helped Enemy go their Cinderella story. And then here at Group D, looking very strong again.
Yannick, what are your thoughts on that second game?
Homiefe really finding his comfort zone, I think. Even though he wasn't on one of his top gods, really managed to find some good initiations with the Ratatoskr ult, as well as being definitely looking overall much more comfortable on the Ratatoskr than the Circuit.
Yeah, it really seemed to all come together. Also, you know, again, you know, we talked about Hurriwind, you know, being that guy where sometimes he'll be able to show up, sometimes not, but he definitely put on a really strong performance. That Raijin seems to be something he's incredibly comfortable with, and I think Denial are going to be using more and more going forward.
I mean, we talked about it, how usually he's picking it along with the Nemesis. That's a combination that he and Homiefe really like, but that time with the Ratatoskr still turned out just fine.
I kind of want to talk about comms there. I don't know if you guys were able to listen in on when we did that fight around Gold Fury. I think it was right before the third Gold Fury got picked up, and we heard Enemy, you know, they were down a little bit. They got into a poke war, and then they were able to successfully poke out Denial a little bit. And Pain's calling to go aggressive, but it really didn't seem like his team was in a position to fight. It was just he recognized their weakness, but not that his own team wasn't able to take that fight.
I mean, we've talked a lot about this weekend, the kind of dynamic. What is the Enemy's dynamic in comms now? Is it still Pain directing the troops, or are there different voices? How are they working well together? And you're right, that instance just wasn't the right call from Pain.
Yeah, you almost think that in the spring split, Enemy were doing so well because their rookies were didn't have that much of an ego and were okay to blindly follow Pain's calls. The old saying goes, it's always better to follow a bad call than to not listen to a call at all, right? So now that Enemy's players may be starting to think maybe more for themselves, for lack of a better word, maybe not following Pain's call, they're not the best thing to do.
Well, we did hear that as well. You know, Pain, you know, I interviewed him yesterday after his victory against Denial, and he was kind of talking about how Shadowq has really taken on a lot of the shot calling, especially in that early game. Pain's like, look, I don't know when Shadowq's in a position to be able to invade speed, so I can't really call that. So we hear him start to take over, but it's almost a lot of conflicting ideals. We're hearing it in the comms as well. You know, sometimes it sounds a little bit like banter, but sometimes it sounds, you know, a little bit of seriousness in that where, you know, Enemy are really struggling to find out who are they following anymore.
And it kind of contributes to the whole Jekyll and Hyde sort of look that they've got to them right now. Sometimes they come out looking really, really strong, and then other times it's, you know, they look pretty lost. And the calls being not decisive, you know, who are we going to follow can really lead to that.
Well, how do you feel about Denial's performance so far in this group? Obviously, they were able to take a game off you. I mean, is this the team that you guys are going to be worrying about heading into Super Regionals if they do qualify second?
I wouldn't say worried about, but they're definitely one of the stronger teams in North America. Overall, though, I definitely think that we should be able to take out the game over them.
Well, one of their players, mid laner Hurriwind, another phenomenal performance on Raijin, and we do have Toli standing by to talk with them.
Thank you, Adonis. I am joined by Hurriwind. Tell me the difference between that first game against Enemy and the second game, the Raw. Were you guys expecting the Odin counterpick?
I don't think we were really expecting it so much. We considered it maybe as an option before when we were going over picks and bans. We didn't really think it would be a big problem. I still, even though they saw success with it, I think really the Janus is what was propelling their team comp to what it could do. In the
second game, you guys definitely elected to ban that out. Is that something that you think we're going to see in the future, just not allowing Khaos in general to play that Janus?
I think we've been seeing that for about half a year, that team sees a lot more success when they play Janus than any other god. I think by far that's, I mean, everyone should know it at this point. It's where Khaos is most comfortable.
And you played a fantastic Raijin in that second game. I believe that you had actually the game-winning play on that tier 2 mid tower when you were able to taunt 2 members constantly. What were the comms like as you guys were wrapping up game number 2?
I mean, our comms are always all over the place, as I think everyone's typically are, but when I'm focusing on my Raijin, I'm not saying anything. You know, hopefully everyone else is saying, "Wow, that was sick," but I'm focused on the game, so I'm probably not saying too much.
It was pretty nutty, I'm not going to lie. So it seems that enemy strategy in that second game, they were trying to really ban out Homiefe. They took away 4 of his bans, and they even picked up the Thor away from him. But he played a fantastic Ratatoskr. How do you guys adapt to that when one player, even if it's not Homiefe, how do you guys adapt when one person's getting targeted banned?
Well, I think it'd be silly to think that we weren't ready for people to be target banned, to think that people's god pools don't go that deep. And when we are going to pick some bans, we know that they're going to ban out as junglers, and we're ready. We know we have enough junglers in our pool to play, even if they ban a few of them. So,
well, tomorrow you're going to be facing Envy and Soar. How do you think that you're going to be transitioning from the first 2 days? Because you found 2 splits against Enemy, 1 more against Soar. How are you feeling going into tomorrow?
I mean, I feel like we're definitely feeling better than we have any other day. It was definitely a relief to take a game off Soar. It gives us a lot of breathing room, so we're pretty confident going into day 3, probably more so than the previous.
I believe you have a 3-point lead against Enemy right now. You guys are sitting at 6. I believe Enemy is at 3 at the moment. Soar is at the top of the chart at this point with 7 points. So is there anything that you wanna give a shout out to your team, your sponsors, anybody out there?
Yeah, of course. I want to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsor, Denial, and all of the associates with Denial. I want to give a shout out to all my teammates, especially probably more so than everyone else, because without them I obviously wouldn't be here. And I want to give a shout out to my family, whether they're watching or not.
Thank you, Hurriwind. Up next, we're going to have Envy versus Soar, so don't go anywhere.